Hi guys. All right, let's get this started. I first off have a cold, so if I'm like kind of a coughing attack, I got some cough drops and some water. But I am coming to you from up north in Iowa. It is a beautiful, somehow 70-degree day up here, so taking full advantage of the sunshine. And I hope you guys are excited just to be together. I know it's so life-giving. I'm about to meet up with my team down in Florida next week for our leadership retreat, and I'm so excited. So just soak up this time together and feed off your energy. And the first point I want to start off before I introduce myself, because I will, is to say yes. If there's a coaching opportunity that presents itself tonight, or your coach asks you to do something, or your mentor asks you to do something, jump in and say yes and figure it out later. I asked Tori last week to speak to my team when we were down in Florida. Immediately, she said yes. She asked me to speak on this. Immediately, I said yes. Did I know what I was going to talk about? Nope. Did I know how long she wanted me to talk about? Nope. Did I know how I was going to squeeze it in? Nope. But every coaching opportunity that you just jump in, say yes, figure out later will only grow you. It will only make sure that you are up to date with what is going on in the Beachbody world, that your practices are in place, and it keeps you close to the fire. So if you're leaning away from opportunities, my advice to you is just to say yes and figure it out. Plus, this is what we do is mainly all virtually, so you can always figure out how to work it in your schedule, how to work it around kids and all that stuff. So my name is Brook Andersen, and like I said, I live in Iowa, and I am married for 11 years. My husband, Josh, we have 4 beautiful children, with number 5 on the way. Oh, shit, my belly. And he's currently hiccuping right now, so it's kind of distracting. He's getting to be pretty strong. So he is coming in January. So we will be having 5 kids, 7 and under. I'm still like, I mean, I know how we got here, but I'm like, how am I about to have my 5th baby? And we always knew that we wanted 3 or 4 children. And that when my baby was 7 months old, we found out the biggest surprise of our life, that we actually were going to have 5 children. And it's been, these last few months have been super overwhelming. Like, oh my goodness, how am I going to handle raising 5 humans, doing this coaching thing that I absolutely love, serving in my community, doing, you guys know, doing all the things. But then it hit me like, that's exactly why I am a coach. So I can prioritize where I want my time, and I don't have a boss telling me what to do. So that's a little bit about me, current stage of life. So if I'm out of breath, bear with me. He's getting to be a big boy. 2 months away still. So a little bit about my backstory. So before I became a coach, I was an elementary teacher 6 years ago. So I taught 5th grade elementary for 5 years, and I loved it. Like, I wasn't one of those teachers. I knew I didn't want to do it long term, but like, I didn't hate my job. I loved teaching. I loved my teammates. I loved the challenge of like taking kids through a lesson and I was going to say meal plan, like lesson guides, and like watching those light bulbs click and all of those things. However, when I got pregnant with my first, all of a sudden, something that I loved, something that was so good, something that I still support 100%. If you're a teacher, thank you for what you do. I love my children's teachers. I love our school system, but something that was good, all of a sudden, my heart was not in there. And that it kind of rocked my world. I wasn't, I knew I kind of wanted to be home, but I didn't think it would be right away. And I knew kind of right as I was pregnant, right after I had her, I'm like, I do not want to leave her. And it was unfair to my class of children. I'd be watching the clock. It was unfair to the parents. It was unfair to my husband, as I'd be super resentful when I'm at home and just upset that I knew, and we knew, I didn't know that we'd have 5 babies, but I knew we would want a lot of children, hopefully, Lord willing, one day. And I knew going down the path of teaching was just not for our family. However, I knew I needed, and I wanted something else to supplement an income and to do something. I wanted to stay at home, but I also wanted something still on the side for me. And that's when I looked at my husband with those crazy eyes and said, hey, so I've been watching this girl on social media for like the past year. and I think I'm going to do what she does. And I can only imagine this look. I mean, I still remember it to this day, but I had been praying about it. I had definitely felt God nudge me in that direction. It wasn't until like my breaking point of, I remember very specifically, I was at school. Our first baby was not taking a bottle well. My husband was out in the parking lot with her, and I remember going to the principal's office like, "Hey, I gotta go feed my baby out in the parking lot. I'll be back in like 15 minutes." And I just remember like that feeling of me having to ask someone else to go be with my baby broke me, and I was like, I never want to feel that way again, and I never want to have to ask someone if I can go be with my baby who needs their mom. We got over the bottles, we figured that all out. But needless to say, I knew we were going to be having more kids, and those kind of situations would only escalate and grow. And that feeling was like, that's my breaking point. And I knew I needed to change something. Back then, 6 years ago, watching my coach, I never liked a single post. There were no stories, so she had no idea I was like watching her at all. But I loved the light and her positivity that she brought every day to social media. And I knew, I just looked at what she was doing and I was like, I can do that too. Like, she's not doing anything that I couldn't learn, that I couldn't figure out, that I couldn't at least try my best and give it my all so that I could have the future that my husband and I wanted for our family. So I stopped teaching. I dove all into coaching, and I wish I could say it was sunshine and rainbows because I jumped in as a business builder. I know everyone has different stories into coaching. Whether you start off in a challenge group, just as a customer, I was like 100% all into coaching, as well as my health journey. Like as a mom struggling with postpartum weight, by this time I was pregnant with my second baby, and I was like, yeah, I need my health journey. Like I need something for me for my health journey. I knew, I was looking at other companies like, okay, leggings are cool, but they're going to go out of style. Bags are fun, but I don't want to sell bags. Like makeup, I'm not really. So I was just looking around. I'm like, but health and fitness, man, that's something that I'm always going to need in my life, whether I want it or not, right? Like, I'm going to need it when I'm pregnant with baby number 5. I'm going to need it when I'm running kids around sporting events. I'm going to need it when I'm hopefully, Lord willing, I'm a grandma one day with grown kids and grandkids. And like my health is never going to go out of style. So I knew like this opportunity could be long-term and make it work. So, right, jumping in, have that long-term vision of I'm replacing my teaching income with that. Well, it was very humbling and eye-opening to wake up 1 year later and look at my, like, okay, where am I at with the business? I'm an Emerald coach, 3 to 4 inactive discount coaches. My paychecks are like big old goose eggs. I'm barely hitting Success Club most months. And if I do, it's like the last day of the month by the skin of my teeth, like was just super, super unenjoyable. As I'm sure some of you know, maybe you're there or maybe you've been there. And it was just, it's not what I had pictured, right? I was like, well, dang, what am I doing wrong? And I had to really just step back and look at things like what wasn't working. I was in this to build a business, yet I wasn't seeing any real profit. Yes, my health journey was better than it ever had been before. But let me tell you, when you're 1 foot out of the business and 1 foot in the business, it is the most exhausting place to be, right? Because in one sense, like you want the income, you want the trips. I wanted all the fun trips that my coach was going on and the retreats that she was throwing. I wanted to hit Success Club, but on the other hand, I wasn't really doing the work to get those things, right? Like for me, it looked like I was inviting very sporadically. I was connecting, following up like randomly when I felt like it. I ran maybe a group every few months, but if it kind of fizzled out, then I was like, oh, that's a dud. I failed at that. And nothing was super consistent, right? And we know in this business, like you got to take more than just a couple months of consistency or a couple months of or a couple weeks of daily inviting. It's like that over time, keep showing up, showing people that you're going to be there long term speaks louder than any amazing post or awesome reel or anything along those lines. So that was my year. After my first year, I'm like, I call it my hold my margarita year, where I was like, I'm going like hold my drink. I'm going to drink that after I figure this all out. And I'm going to dive 2 hands, 2 feet in and just do the things. And when I say do the things, just do the vital behaviors, which you know what, actually ended up being not any more time than what I was spending on the business anyways. At that moment, just so you know what's going on now in my life personally, we had just had our third baby. We had our first three very close in age. They were all three, under three. That was crazy town. It still feels like crazy town, but like that's a lot going on at once. But however, I felt incredible. Like thanks to Beachbody and the workouts and Energize and Shakeology, like I'm like, I should be drowning in life right now. Like 303, like that's nutty. Yet I was feeling like on top of the world with my health. I was like, okay, I have this gold mine of opportunity. I just have to get those pieces moving in place and I gotta stay consistent with it for it to pay off because I know this can work. I've seen it work in my own life. I can help others with it if I just get consistent. So I decided that I would be super consistent with the vital behaviors, mainly focusing around my invites, connections, and follow-ups. So I'm going to dive into those and like my tips at the very end. But that's kind of what I committed to. And I'm committed to running monthly groups, not just when I felt like it. I'm like, nope, I'm running monthly groups every single month. I'm going to run a group every single month. I'm also going to do a coach sneak peek because a coach sneak peek is what brought me into coaching. And I looked back over my first year of coaching. I'm like, I never ran one. I didn't even really feel comfortable talking about the business. No wonder I'm not finding anybody to sign up with me if I'm not even comfortable talking about it. So let me just tell you, my first coach sneak peeks were awful. I had like one person in the group. I remember asking a few of my friends, like, hey, can you just join this group? You don't have to listen to any of the videos I say, but so it just looks like some people are interested in it. But I committed to doing those things month after month. And it wasn't like they were that hard, right? I just had to take the time. I had to prioritize it. I knew that if I could get the things going, that it could work. So just to give you an idea, then we went from kind of after I had that whole my margarita moment. It did take me still 6 months to get to Diamond. Took me a month later to get to Star Diamond. And then we went from Star Diamond, like I hit 1-star Diamond in January, and then I ended 5-star Elite that year. The next year, we went from 5-star Diamond team to a 10-star Diamond team, which is nutty to me. And I also want to talk to you really quick about social media because and following, because my following was very, very small. And that was a huge limiting belief that I had in this business, especially coming, I'm in rural Iowa. Like anyone that was getting to do around with me, like we all know the same 100 people, right? Like there's not a lot, but I knew I'm like, okay, God has given me a smaller following. Yes, I would love 30,000 followers. Yes, I would love 100,000 followers. When I hit 5-star Elite my first year, I had 800 Instagram followers. Like, but how I looked at it, I flipped the switch and said, okay, that means that I can be so intentional with the people I am connecting with, that I am inviting with. Like I'm not going to be adding all these people that I really don't know. Like I know these people because I've talked to them. I've talked to them about mom things. I've talked to them about their struggles and they're like, I just got to know them on a deeper level. And it's because I contributed, because I had a smaller following. I could invest more time into my followers. And then even when we hit 10-star, and we've been 3-time Elite, we were already at Premier this year. Like I was at like less than 1,500 followers. I don't even know what I am in now, but just saying if like that's a thing that's holding you back, you need to let that go and you need to flip the script and you need to say, hey, that means if I don't have a lot of followers, that means God has given me an audience and that's where I need to invest my time. And I'm not saying that it doesn't mean you shouldn't go, network and connect and find new friends on Instagram and Facebook, because those are part of a growing process. But I am saying don't use that as a crutch of saying why you cannot be successful, XYZ. Okay, so that is kind of brought us to where we are today. Like I said, next week I'm hosting kind of my first bigger retreat. I've always co-hosted with my coach, Megan Ewaldson in the past. But next week I'm taking 15 girls to Panama City Beach in Florida. And I cannot wait just to be with them, to squeeze them, and to celebrate the year that we've had. But let's dive back in a little bit to the vital behaviors, because I want to share, and I always think these trainings or calls or whatever you want to call this, take what you want. Not everything I share with you tonight is going to be like, oh my gosh, I have to start implementing everything Brooke does, because it might not work for you. I'm just going to tell you the things that work for you, but I do want you to figure out or take action after this, whether it's like one thing that I said tonight or maybe a few things that I said tonight. Go put this into action. The worst thing that I could think of that could possibly happen after you walk out of those doors tonight and into the weekend and into November, the rest of the year, is that you don't take any action. Take some sort of action after you hear this. Okay, take a little drink. Okay, number one, with going to the vital behaviors, when I dove into it after I hold my margarita, it's like, okay, 5 invites, and I have like no one watching my stories, no one liking my posts. Like, who in the heck do I invite? Okay, I know there's people there. I just needed 5 invites. We have that on our tracker every day. Like, it was so overwhelming for me, especially as a mom of 3 under 3 at the time. I was like, that, like, as silly as that sounds, I'm like, I can't handle that. Like, where am I going to find these 5 people? So instead, I started the process of batching my vital behavior. So what I mean by that is on Mondays, when I would sit down for that hour, however long I would have to work, sometimes it was 30 minutes, sometimes it was a little bit more, like, and how long I had to work, I would invite all of Monday. Like, that was my job on Monday. On Tuesday, I made it my job to connect. And I decided to do inviting first because that's where I struggled with the most. So I'm like, no, like, kind of would make, now that I think about it, I'm like, I should have connected first on Monday. But actually I needed to invite. I just needed to, I think, is it eat the frog? Just get it out of the way, get it off my plate and be like, no, I invited. And when I say invited, that means on Sunday night, I would sit down. This would take me like 5-10 minutes, not even that. And I would make a list of at least 30 people that on the next day, on Monday, I would invite to my groups, mainly to my groups, but also to coaching, right? Because if I had that list there, if I set my timer, you know how many invites you can get out when, like, that is literally your only job. Of course, getting your workout in, yada, 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 like those kind of things too. But like, when you make it your sole mission that day to do one task, you can knock out a lot. So like, I would get more than 30 invites out. I'm like, okay. Like, but here's the thing. I didn't just do that for like a month. I did that for an entire year of like that kind of batching. So on Mondays, I would invite. Tuesdays, I would connect. And same thing, like, I write out a list of 30 people. And you know where I got 30 is because I looked at, okay, 5 people a day. If I did this kind of like 5 to 6 days a week, that's about 25, 30 people. Also, and a big notebook has about 30 lines on it. So like, it just worked out perfectly that way. And then on Wednesday, I would do my follow-ups. By that time I have lots of conversations going. So I'm trying to keep up with them on Wednesday. Thursday, I always would do my challenger check-ins. And then Friday was kind of like whatever business things I would need to do and get caught up on. And I would just repeat that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and invited and just made those habits a part of like, my job. Like, coaching didn't start when, like, a lot of people are like, oh, coaching starts when your business goes on when you show up on social media. Like, that's not how it works. Your business turns on for the day when you sprinkle and invite this gift to others. If you haven't done that this week or today, or I know it's a Friday, you guys are listening to this, but your business isn't on today because you're not inviting other people to it. So that's kind of the mindset I took. And now I will say, I don't do this. 6 years into coaching with a pretty big team, like, I have to divide my time differently. And that's where I think there's lots of flexibility. Like, my invites don't change, but I can get out 5 invites pretty easily every single day now, because one, it's the first thing I do because it's so ingrained in like this, my business isn't open. And unless I invite, and if I don't have any inviting to do, then I'm like, I got to go connect. I'm just going to connect and talk to people about pregnancy and mom life. And, there's this, I have a story right now in my Instagram stories. I found this salamander in our yard, and like, people are just blowing up about it. So just talking to them about everyday life, like, that is connecting. So like, stop making it this big deal, or at least I did at the beginning of like, I just don't have time to do that, and just like flip the script and make it work within the time that you are allotting to this. Because I guess what I'm guessing a lot of, for me, it was like a lot of mindless scrolling that I was doing, trying to get ideas from other coaches. I really dwindled down. I barely follow any other Beachbody coaches, maybe like 2 or 3 that are in similar stages of life as me, have like 4 or 5 kids, might be pregnant. Just to like kind of get ideas of maybe what they're doing, how they're talking. But other than that, I don't follow a lot of coaches because I don't want to get stuck either comparing or just watching what they're doing, because I have my own goals. I have my own 4, almost 5 kids that need my attention, and our time is gold. Okay, the second thing that I did, so batch inviting, you don't have to do that. I don't do that really anymore, unless like usually there's a big launch coming out, then I actually do it in batch invite. So when Sure Thing comes out, when I'm like 38 weeks pregnant, you bet I am going to be inviting heck to that. The second thing I decided to do, which I talked about, was run monthly groups and coach sneak peeks. You guys, get creative on these. I love Beachbody is setting us up so beautifully for the body blocks coming up, where every beginning of every Monday next year, like that's my goal, is like that's when my group is going to start. We're going to go for 3 weeks. We're going to take a rest. I'm going to probably do for myself, I'm probably do like a free week or invite to the coach sneak peek, and then redo it on Monday, or not Monday, the next month, and just redo it like that. I'm so excited about that. So run monthly groups, not just when you feel like it. And if you're really overwhelmed by that idea, team up with someone sitting next to you, team up with your coach, ask your coach to be running groups with you, or ask a sister coach. Like, you are surrounded by the most positive, uplifting people in the Beachbody community, people who've made it their mission to up level their lives, right? So like, stop being on an island and branch out and ask others for help to do it together, to change it up. And the last thing I have for you is just to stay close to the fire. A lot of times, like, especially kind of just in the season I am, where like, I'm like, this pregnancy has rocked my world. I'm really tired. Like, I will say to like I just ask my girls a lot, like, hey, I'm getting on Zoom to do a power hour at this time. Like, who wants to join me? Like, I say that probably multiple times a week, because I'm struggling with doing some of the basic things because of XYZ, right? We all have our excuses. So lean in to the ladies that you have. Lately, we've been doing like some power hours a little too early for me, but it still feels amazing to get it done. And I nap later in the day because the coaching of flexibility has offered me is we've been doing meeting at like 5:30 a.m. We'll pull up a power hour off the Beachbody Champions page, or go YouTube one of your favorite coaches. I bet you there's a million power hours on YouTube from them, and just do, like, no one has to be awake, no one has to talk, and you just sit there and you can do it together, because I know I get so much more done. I'm way more motivated when I'm not by myself. So yeah, I think that's just the last and third thing, is stay close to the fire, lean into the women who are going to continue to lift you up, even when you are in hard seasons, whether it's pregnancy, postpartum, and seasons of loss. I've had a really close coach friend, Star Diamond, who recently lost her house to a house fire. Like, the life happens, but stay close to the people that will keep you going, that keep speaking wisdom, keep speaking truth. And I bet you're sitting in a room full of them. Stay close to them. So that's all I have for you guys today. Just take on my notes. Thank you so much, Tori, for asking me to speak. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful time together, and hope this story up in Iowa, remember, take some kind of action from it, whether it's one thing, whether it's a few things, and you guys have a great rest of your night.